Hey, good evening, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So, today we're going to be talking about how I live in one of the most expensive cities in the entire nation. So, populations 10 to 50,000, Astoria is ranking number 10. So, it is an expensive place to live. And over the course of the 30 plus years now, wow, 35 years that I've lived here, I moved here when I was 13. Things have changed dramatically in our area. Now, just to kind of give you a little idea about Astoria, it is very old. 200 years old. Astoria has been around. Goes all the way back to the fur trading days and John Jacob Astor's founding of it. Now, the Astoria area has always been a very popular place. The Goonies was filmed in Astoria. Everybody loves the Goonies. Always, anytime anybody finds out that I'm from Astoria, they always thinking, "Oh man, do you ever go and check out the Goonies house and stuff?" Yes, absolutely. Kindergarten Cop, the Goonies, Come See the Paradise, Cthulhu, The Ring 2. Um, Gosh, I mean, and I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of them. Oh, Short Circuit, right? They were all these movies were filmed around here. And so it's a popular place. But when I graduated high school in 1995, it was a place that you could live. It was a place that was like normal. It was like a normal town. You know, you wouldn't think much about it being like an expensive place to live or anything else. There was apartments for rent, and two kids graduating high school could go and rent an apartment and get a start in life. I know because I did that, and a bunch of my friends did that as well. So Astoria was a place that, you could make it. You could do well here, and or at least have the option to do well. And it was like opportunity was all around to buy into homes and fix them up. There was all kinds of fixer uppers around. There was opportunity to start business. There was all kinds of stuff to do as far as like what it was that was growing within the area. And most of it was really comes down to like loggers and fishermen. That was like the kind of the bread and butter of the place for a very long time. Mill operations. There was plywood mill operations here for a while. Always been logging community. We got a mill still operating here. The fishing community is huge. I mean, we got the Columbia River. But as times have changed, it's really become more of an influence from outside money coming from like the hospital district, growing a number of, hospital workers. There's a huge influx of remote workers who have come to our area. And just the common everyday person living here is now struggling against the retirement community that is vastly moving here. Right. And I would imagine the hospital district has a lot to do with that. I mean, this is growing in mass proportion. We have a new facility that is getting built right across the street from where I work. And from what I understand, it's gonna be 2 or 3 stories. I think it's 2 stories tall, but it's a huge building that they're putting there. And yet it's another, family clinic. So the hospital district is obviously coming to Astoria, and it's going to be that center for, this corner of the Pacific Northwest anyway. And as I think about how that new money is starting to pour in and what I understand about the Cantillon effect, it totally makes sense. I mean, everything about what I have learned from the Cantillon effect is now playing out in real time right in front of me. Maybe that's how come I understand it so well, or why I keep focusing in on it, is because I can recognize it happening. A friend of mine just sent me a picture of like $2.50 gas somewhere. Like, I think he was in Arizona when he took the picture. I can't remember exactly where he was at. And I'm thinking, oh man, I'm paying like 4.30 or something like that at the pump. And it's, again, everything here is expensive. The gas is expensive. The grocery market is expensive. The housing is expensive. Everything is expensive here in Astoria. So I'm experiencing it at the extreme level. People say to me, man, there's guys struggling out there. And I'm like, yeah, you know how hard I have to hustle not to struggle? Like, I'm out here all the time on YouTube, again, sharing my information, sharing the thoughts, sharing the ideas, and hoping to get a little bit of ad revenue off of it, gain some networking capabilities out there, try and share whatever it is that I can do in order to hustle it up. as well as calling bingo on the weekends, as well as going to a full-time job, as well as seeking out whatever it is that I can do. I mean, I just got a check from Amazon for the commissions for the Cantillon essay that I try to push on Amazon, right? Little tiny bits of money every time, all the way, everywhere. Why? So I can make it here in Astoria, because it's hard. Like, I live just like most people do out there. They're like, they see me on YouTube and they think that maybe I'm, rich or something of that nature. No, man, I live in the most expensive area in the entire country. I live just like everybody else does who has a 9-to-5 job. But I have to hustle way harder to make it here. But it's worth it to me. It's clean, it's friendly, it's nice. No wonder why everybody's moving here. So what am I supposed to do? Right? Am I supposed to pack up and bail out of here? Or am I supposed to stick it out? Watch the house value go up because everybody desires to be in this particular area. Right? If you know the Cantillon effect and you see the new money pouring in, well, then you know that the area is going to become more expensive. And how can it not get more expensive when there are constantly new people moving in who have outside money? This isn't production of fishing and logging that's bringing in. See, that would be industrious. That would be producer savers. That would be a whole different environment. That would be one that you can actually make it in. Now, you have to be a king of some sort. Already have the money, have a retirement fund, have a high-paying job. The average person can't do it here. And I'm going to watch all my friends struggle to do it. I had a friend come to me today, and he was just like, man, my kids, like, they can't make it out there. They're starting adult kids coming back to the house because he was just like, where are they going to go? They can't make it out here. The rent's too high. There's not enough job that pay enough. Right? This is it. This is Cantillon effect in real time, happening right here, right now. And it's obvious to me. And that's why I keep studying this stuff. It's why I keep sharing these thoughts and these ideas out here, because hopefully, if there's somebody out there who's watching, will see some of these things that are happening and be able to position themselves accordingly for what's going on. It's scary to think of what it is my kids will have to face. I better be very smart about what it is that I, help them to provide as they go into their adult life, because if I was to expect them to do what I did, go get a job at the lumberyard and then go get an apartment and then try and struggle and make it through that, it would be almost impossible. In fact, I couldn't even see them doing it. Right? Not now. There was a time I could have. In fact, that was kind of expected of people. Well, if I expect them to do that, they're going to have to do it in a different area, not here. Not where I live. It's nice. This place is beautiful. And that's why it's so expensive. It's luxurious. Right? See, it's the luxurious life. It sucks. I didn't mean for this to happen. I grew up here. I've been here forever. I've been here 35 years. Right? I didn't mean for all this to happen. I didn't even realize it was happening. I just knew that I had to try harder and harder, because no matter what job I had, it didn't pay enough. I couldn't keep up. Right? And realizing now that it is a forever struggle of chasing excellence constantly in order to make it. Right? Well, dang. I mean, if I wasn't taught a lesson. See, it's like that frog in the boiling water, right? If I had recognized what was going on here, maybe I could have done something and moved to another area. But I thought this was normal. Normal to live this way. Now I have to send my kids off to struggle in this area. I don't know if that's going to work out too well for them. They're going to have to become a doctor or nurse or something to work at the hospital district, because that's going to be the only thing that's really going to be able to provide any kind of income for people who are going to be renting all the places around here because of how vastly it's growing. Them and the retirees. Yeah. Where are all the logger and fishermen going to live and work, right? They're getting pushed out, regulated out, moving out. It's scary to think. 10 minutes into it. I don't plan on being out here that long. Let's go through some of these comments just to see what's up. Hey, neighbor, I'm in Forest Grove. We are 14 to be able to we are fortunate, sorry, to be able to keep our kids home if needed. It's ridiculous how expensive housing is. Yeah, Oregon is one of the most expensive places in the entire country to live. Like, again, I didn't know this. Like, I was just growing up here, and I mean, it was just like, man, why is it like we struggle? Yeah, it's a struggle, man. Life's a bitch. Yeah, it's real hard. I didn't know I was in the hardest place in the entire country to do it. Maybe that's why I studied economics so much. It was just like, man, why do I feel like I'm failing all the time? Right? Then I'm starting to figure this stuff out and realizing a lot of it was just the way I was thinking and acting and behaving. But ultimately, I was also in one of the toughest areas to try and make it in. Trying to buy a house in, trying to start life in. You guys got any questions about Astoria? All right. Why red states cheaper than blue states? Well, okay. We would be very much a red state if we were in a industrious sort of being. If we were producer saver mentality, then yes, we would be in that red kind of feeling, that conservative mindset, right? But we are caregiver, like service, not producing stuff, right? We're into like spending and stuff. That's what the property owners prefer, right? And now that's what we have around here. So those are the industries that bring in the new money. Those are the people who then decide on what the area is going to look like. So if you have a bunch of caregivers who are then the property owners instead of a bunch of industrious mindset people who were the property owners, then you're going to have two very different looking areas. And it's not a problem. It's it's this what it is. It's not a problem. It's a cycle going through it. I guarantee you that if you have an industrious people, give it any length of time, right? And you may not face it within your lifetime or even your father's or kids' lifetimes or whatever. It may take a long time to go through all this. But if you have an industrious people who are producers and savers, and they are saving at a mass scale, they will at some point start to fall into luxuries. Once you start moving into luxuries, you will start changing the way the property owners act and behave in their desires. Eventually, it will become an area that doesn't look anything like it did before. Right? We used to be loggers and fishermen here. That was the mentality. The mascot of my school that I went to, my boys' school, is the loggers. Astoria is the fishermen. All right? That's like loggers and fishermen. This is our area. But that's not the new money anymore. And if you don't have the loggers and fishermen and industrious and all those other people who are the property owners, then what you're going to end up with is the caregiver mentality who is going to be like bleeding heart feeling, and then you're going to have this as the feature of it. And that's exactly what I call it, because I think about it. Like, I live in a very luxurious area. Like, all the bars are trendy now. All the food is fancy. All the people behave in stupid ways. Like, I shouldn't say stupid, in ways that I find comical. All right, like I don't look down upon it, but it's just like the way some people dress and act and just like whatever. It's just like whatever. I mean, I don't look down upon that stuff, right? I just don't. But a lot of people will look at it and say, hey, this is a miserable existence that you have, and I say, I doubt that. Right? I doubt it. And I mean, I don't agree with all that stuff, but then again, I don't agree with a lot of the conservative mindset as well. I like thinking and acting and feeling and behaving the way I truly ever want to. And I think that Oregon does a great job of being that way. There is a huge libertarian mindset that's over on the eastern side, conservative mindset that's over on the eastern side of Oregon. I mean, Eastern Oregon is very much that way. And it's just that there's nobody really there. It's pretty empty. I mean, there's some vast area. It was funny. I was reading, I don't know why I go off on this. I was reading an article about all this acreage that burned over there, and not a single, like, it was like an ungodly amount of acreage that had burned. And it was like no structure fires, like at all. There was nothing around there. Like, you could go for miles and there's ain't nobody around. But really, that's just that's everybody on that side. When you get over to the coast, when it's more luxurious living, then that's what you are going to find. You're just going to find that sort of mindset that's happening. And to me, I don't find that bad. I don't find conservative mindset bad either. I mean, I'm totally cool with it. I love being down in Texas, man. I thought that place was wonderful. I only got to spend a short amount of time there, but when I was there, it was like the people were really polite and it was really awesome, and that conservative mindset was very pleasing, and it was like I enjoyed being there, and I was thinking, man, I could definitely spend some time in this area. But this is home to me, and it's not that bad, but it is expensive. And I, again, like the more I looked at it, the more I realized, man, this place is, and then just to find the proof of it that now comes out, it was like, dang, man, I cannot believe that it is this way. And yeah, I am just as much, I guess, in the way of like using YouTube to bring new money in. Like unless you have a YouTube channel or you have some other way of making money, man, you have to compete against me to buy the house, against the retiree to buy the house, against the doctor to buy the house. Right? This is the luxurious life that everybody is now living. I'm struggling just to make it every single day, working the full-time jobs and doing the YouTube and doing the side hustles and doing all the other stuff. And most people are just like, oh man, isn't this wonderful? We're relaxed and retired and we have this wonderful, career and all whatever stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, woo, man, it's fun. Rat race is awesome. Nah, if we're gonna hold together, yeah, I don't know, whatever. I live in the fourth expensive area. Yeah. What kind of job do you have, Rob? I mean, what do you do for income? Aberdeen hasn't had this effect. All right. Let's see here. Michael. Neither red or blue really care about the people. I just, yeah, I've kind of come to that conclusion as well. I am from Asturias, Spain, the paradise. Joe Uneducated. I am the hashtag free state of, what is that, Florida? No manufacturing at all and very few government giveaways. Well, yeah, but you also got to understand that you have a lot of new money that pours in from tourist attraction, right? The wind up, no black mob dancing on cars, hoods, or major intersections. Well, yeah, Joe. The thing is like all the stuff that you saw propagandized on TV when Portland was going through those riots. It was amazing on how many people asked me, "Is like, dude, are you facing all the craziness that's going on up there?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, all the looting and rioting and all this craziness, and I'm like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?" Like, I literally had to go and look to find that. Like, I didn't know that stuff was going on up there. Seriously, nobody around here knew it was happening. It wasn't like, I mean, some people did, but none of it, no, it wasn't happening to us. That was happening in a certain amount of neighborhoods. And to me, that was planned out, however, like it was, because like it was amazing on how many people found it so more important than the people who were actually surrounding the area. Like, we didn't care like at all. Like we go back up there and it was just like, what in the world is going on, man? It was just like this is actually taking place because nowhere did we see any of that kind of stuff happening around here. You know, it's hard to even find like it's hard to find graffiti in Astoria. Like you find it, it's around, they do it, right? But for the most part, it doesn't really happen that much. Right? And whether it's just like, there's not a lot of people who are tagging mentality, or if it's just, being caught, or it's just not our area, but we don't see a lot of it that happens. We don't see a lot of trash on the ground. The Riverwalk is like, I take the family every once in a while and we'll go out there and just, pick up litter along the Riverwalk. And really, it's not that bad. There's litter, but it's not that bad. The area is really nice. It's super nice. And I don't see any people acting or misbehaving or like I have a store that has product that sits out front at night. Like, I'm sure people probably steal some of it, but like not so much that we like, it's just like, oh my God, look, they took all this. The most that they took was they actually broke the locks on the propane and took our five, our 20-gallon propane bottles. That was like one of the biggest thefts that we've had that I've seen. Another one, we used to keep some rental tools kind of in this shed, and it wasn't really locked or anything like that. And somebody stole those one time. That was like the two major ones that I've seen in a while. The petty thievery, like, people stealing little products or stealing stuff like that, I'm sure that happens quite frequently. But we don't like let people just wander around the store if they're being suspicious. Like, we stick to them like glue. I mean, I'm sure they get away with it occasionally, but we see them walk in, and we don't really tolerate them being in the store. Like, if they don't, like, oh no, we're wandering around, I was just like, all right, bud, yeah, we're gonna stick around with you too. And if it makes them feel uncomfortable, it does. Most people who are there legitimately do not care if you stand right next to them the entire time when you're doing a sale. Like, many times it would be like, oh man, okay, I got it from here. I'm just going to read through some of these products. And you can tell, like, okay, yeah, they're like legitimately just trying to figure out what it is that they truly want. But for the most part, I will like take a customer, like if they're like, oh, I'm looking for spray paint, I'll walk them right up to the spray paint. Hey, what kind of spray paint do you here? Let's go like pick it out. What's the next product there? Let's keep going around the store. I'll help you find every single item in this entire store. Like, that's kind of the way I do it. Like, I don't know, that's the way I was shown to do it for a long time. So again, our area is friendly. I like it, and I wouldn't, I've been to areas that are really nice in other parts of the country and traveled around, but I like living here. All right, 22 minutes into it. Let's see, do we have any questions? Let's see here. Oh, I already did that one. Okay. You can tell a lot about an area by perusing the thrift stores, yeah. American love the fancy pants. Good call, mama. Joe, funny you mentioned urine. I smelled it today on my walk to work. It happens more and more. Ugh, see, like that's like, yeah. Like that's the type of stuff, like occasionally, you get some homeless people who, might, do whatever, but we don't, like in Portland, you see that a lot, that kind of thing. But in my area, it's not really like, I know a lot of the homeless community. Like, they're almost part of the community itself. Like, you recognize them, you know who they are. And, some, like, I, just for example, I know a guy who lives in his car, and he lives kind of in between, like, he just kind of lives over near this business, and he keeps an eye on the place. Like, the owner of the business, I don't think really wants a whole bunch of people around there, but he's okay with this guy kind of staying on the corner of the parking lot and keeping an eye on the place, making sure nobody messes with it. And that's, he's been doing that for a long time. And super cool dude, super cool dude. And so anyway, it's like, I don't know what to say about it. It's just like there is people who create issues around here. We had a double murder suicide that just happened. There was an attempted murder that happened not too long ago, a stabbing or whatever. There's like, stuff that happens just like it happens anywhere else, but it's really infrequent. And for the most part, I would say, like, I feel totally safe any given time being in Astoria. Like, never do I feel threatened by anybody ever, anywhere. Like, anywhere in Astoria, and no matter what time. All right, I have a 63-year-old parent who has no savings and refuses to save, blames the poverty on external forces, plus gets defensive. Little debt mode, cost of living area, $77K per year. How do I get her to save? You can't. Who do we have pulling up here? Hold on one second, guys. I got somebody pulling up into the driveway. I don't know who they are. Oh. Oh, it's Freddie's friends. Okay. Hey, what's happening, guys? All right. You can't, like, being that kind of mindset is really, it's more subconscious thinking, right? Like blaming the external is subconscious stuff. What really, like, this is probably something that we should do. Like, I was thinking people really dug when I started getting into a lot of this esoteric thinking about, like, chasing excellence and, whatever. And I'm not saying whatever. What I guess I'm getting at is that a lot of what it comes down to in that thinking and the way that you are feeling and acting and behaving is subconsciously built from the time that you were a child. The older you get, by the time you're like 73 years old, that is so set in stone that it is going to be almost impossible. You would need like one major traumatic event to then snap them into realizing that they have to go on to another parallel and change the way that they are thinking and feeling and acting and behaving. But at 73, like, it's hard to do after you're like 30, all right? Like once you get to 40, it's pretty well locked in. You can still do it. Like I did it, right? It's like you can still do it. But the older you get, the harder it is. In 73, it's just like, yeah, you might as well have chiseled that shit into granite. It's like it's going to be really, really hard. So, but you can still figure it out for yourself and share in the energy yourself. And if you are, the energy of what it is that you want to see going on out there, eventually what it is that they will start to absorb the energy of what it is that you are thinking and feeling and acting and behaving as well. So the more connected they are to you, the more they trust you, the more they feel like, you're responsible and understanding and creative and all the other stuff that goes along with it, but that's all within the internal, then generally people will start to behave and act and feel a lot like what you are doing. That's why you surround yourself with the five people that you want to be like, because you will then become more like those people. So in understanding how that works really comes down to understanding how it is that you got it on the inside and how they feel it on the inside. Because if they're feeling it on the inside with this subconscious belief and knowing and proof and these absolute, like, set knowing that it's their fault and got all the proof of it and 73 years worth of proof of it, it's going to be like, okay, so now we're going to understand it, that it's our decision making that's really did it. And that's hard, right? That's hard to do. So the only advice I have is to live the energy in which it is that you would want the other people around you to start feeling and behaving and acting like. And generally, that's the way that they will start to, especially if they trust and respect you. But you can't make anybody do anything. Like, you can't make anybody quit drinking. You can't make anybody, do the right thing. You can't make anybody start a business that that they would be good at. You can't make anybody just finally write the book, right? You know what I'm saying? And so, again, like, internalize it for yourself. Be that of what it is that you want to see out there. Just live that life. And again, people around you should absorb that energy, and then, you'll start being there. All right, cruising down here. Hey, all night, what's happening? Maybe make savings a game or do it by POA. Maybe even less than truthfully, as long as what hers remains hers. Well, there you go. No open carry in Oregon. Try walking into a bank like that. Well, I don't want to. Like, that's like, people are like, try doing that. Why would I want to do that? I don't want to open carry to begin with. I don't want to conceal carry. I don't want to carry. I don't want to carry a gun. That's not my desire to do. I don't want to carry a gun. Right? I don't feel the need to carry a gun. If I was in the woods picking mushrooms, going off and picking chanterelles, okay, I might want to carry a gun. And when I'm out in the woods, I can carry a sidearm. There's no law against it. I can carry as many guns as I want. I can carry an unlimited amount of guns. Right? I mean, there's no law against that. I've gone out duck hunting many times with 3 shotguns. I had one for goose hunting. I had one that was loaded with some heavy rounds so I could shoot them once they have dove in the water. And I had my normal 4-shot that I would use. Like, I carried three different, as long as they only had 3 rounds in the chamber, you could carry as many guns as you wanted out there. All right? I can carry a firearm in Astoria, open carry. I don't have to identify myself when I do it either. because I understand that City Ordinance 5.010 clearly dictates that the open carry of a loaded firearm is forbidden. I just wouldn't carry it loaded. I can carry a firearm. There's no law against it. You can't have any law that violates the Constitution. Like, I already know that. So there's no law against it. I can carry as many firearms as I want. I just can't carry them loaded. And that's the difference. And you do, by their law, and I still question this one, but you do have to allow the firearm to be inspected to make sure that it is unloaded, but you do not have to identify yourself. You do not have to, be restrained. You don't have to any of that. Once the firearm's inspected, that's it. You're free to go. And you don't have to have any kind of conversation with the police officer. See, I know my rights, and I also understand the law. And I don't necessarily think that I agree with the law, but they cannot deny me to carry a firearm. I already got that part. I already knew that, right? But that little idea that you can't carry a loaded firearm, or that I have to give it up that it's inspected, and so that it can be inspected. I don't know if I necessarily agree with those two, but I don't know how to fight it, right? Maybe All Nighter can teach me how to fight that one, but I don't know how to fight that one. But that's okay, because I didn't want to carry the firearm in the first place, right? Unless I'm going out duck hunting. All right. I only carry when I'm with my family and at high-risk place. Yeah, see, I don't know where I would be where that would be a high-risk place. I have no idea where I would go that would be at high risk. I can't think of a single one. Yeah. All right, can you chew gum and run from the police while high on weed? Yeah, I bet you I could. All right, why would I run from the police? They would be like, dude, Simon, we know where you live. It was like I couldn't run from the police. They all know who I am. It was like that would be pointless. Like, I couldn't possibly run from the police. Right? I mean, I could try, but they would be like, dude, we're just gonna go to your house, man. It's just like, you can't run away from us. We know who you are. All right. Do you ever meet fans in public? Yeah, occasionally. In fact, it was kind of fun. I mean, I've been walking through Astoria and had, people are like, oh, hey, man, it's finally cool to meet you. I've seen your videos. I was calling bingo one night at the bar, and it was really cool because the guy was just like, man, this game is so fun. You guys have so much. Hey, you're the internet guy, I'm like, yeah. And he was like, dude, I love your channel, so that was pretty cool to have not only a fan of bingo, but then recognize me for my channel, and it was just like, all right, man. So I got a fan like two ways that time, like from two different things. And then people like also recognize me because I have a hardware store too. So, I mean, it's just like, it's hard to escape Astoria. Everybody knows me. It's one of the reasons why it's so easy for me to come out here and do YouTube, is because, like, I don't really have anything to hide. Like, I can't hide anything. Everybody knows who I am. And so like, what am I going to possibly hide from? I can't, Keyword firearm 2A is just arms. All right. Law is optional fiction believed into reality. What's up, Ryan Simon? Oh, right on. What is that, Wandering Doc? Big week next week for NASDAQ testing its current highs. Yeah. You can't get a firearm in PA if you have a medical weed card. What? How do they say it? Or like, I saw a meme one time. It was just funny as hell because it totally describes this area too. Is that Oregonians just want gay married couples to be able to protect their marijuana plants with guns. Okay? That kind of sums it all up to, like, this area, Most people shouldn't be carrying guns. I disagree. I think most people could probably carry a gun. I think that's not accurate. I think some people should definitely not carry a gun, but I think most people, if they were sensible and understood, exactly how to operate and handle and be around a firearm without actually feeling like an anxiety-ridden moment inside of them by holding a firearm and being worried about shooting it, but if they were very comfortable being around it and not thinking about it being anything else than another tool like a hammer or a drill, like, and I'm serious, that's the way that most people who truly understand firearms look at it. They don't look at it like any kind of like thing that elevates their energy in any kind of way. They don't feel it that way. It's just like having anything else. Now, if that was the case, I think that we would be in a much safer, much safer social, society. I do. Like, I honestly do. Because people who are stupid with guns carry guns anyway. Right? I mean, that's the like, I mean, you can't stop stupid people from carrying guns. You can't do that, but plenty of smart people can do it. Right? And I mean, and I think really most people, if they truly understood what it was that they had in their hand, they wouldn't behave a lot of the ways they behave. They wouldn't behave that way because they would understand that people have guns. Everybody would be chill. Right? Because only, like, I mean, you can't stop stupid people who have guns to have a gun. You can't stop that. But you can make laws to prevent people who would normally be normal with guns to not have them. That doesn't make any sense to me. None. Like, it never, like, all these gun laws make zero sense to me. You know? I mean, some of it, I guess, kinda. Like, you can have some rationale to it. But, again, like, I think about it, it's just like you can't stop an idiot with a firearm. Like, there's no way. No law, no anything. You know? If they are determined to get it, they will. Firearms are just like drugs or anything else out there. If you are determined, you will go get it. You know? Alright, moving on. I'm late to the party. Did you talk about precious metals already? No, but I mean, we could talk about precious metals. I mean, I'm a huge fan of precious metals. And we did a video earlier on Bitcoin and nobody really wanted to talk about Bitcoin, or the video didn't really do that well. I guess a lot of people like talking about Bitcoin. That's just fine. But precious metals, I mean, I have always found that precious metals are by far the best place you can ever go. It's the best place you can start. If you have no other idea, might as well go into precious metals. If you are worried about the New World Order, you're worried about government, you're worried about banking, you're worried about anything out there, anything at all, silver's the only place you can go to. It's the only thing that gets you truly out of that third-party claim that will do what it does. Like, a lot of people are like, man, I can do firearms, right? You can do ammunition, firearms. That's kind of limited. Like, you might be in an area where it's no problem. Like, it is no problem for you and your network in that area, and that's cool. And then your firearms work for you. But for the most part, silver works anywhere. Like, anywhere, anytime. It's like no doubt about it. And so when I think about what it is that you can buy into that's going to have that kind of away from that third-party claim, I can't think of anything at all. It is by far the ultimate insurance policy. So, and everything is second to it. But I can't be 100% into silver. It doesn't move enough. See, if you're going to be an investor mindset, you have to get into things that are risky, not safe. Silver's safe. Like, I'm cool with saving, and I'm cool in saving in a safe place. But at some point, the savings has to come to a point where you're going to start speculating more into investments of stocks, more into business starting, more into something else out there where you would have to start shifting your money from the stacking of silver over into something that's going to start doing something more for you, start having a return, because silver doesn't have a return. So although as awesome as it doesn't hold all the features of what it is that I want my efforts to do. If I put 100% of my efforts into silver, I'm limited. I'm limited to what silver can do. Well, it could do a lot, or it may not. But I'm limited to what it can do. So I don't want to be limited. I like having the features. I like having a significant amount of the features. In fact, if I don't know what else to do, might as well go into that particular one. But there's so many things out there that are going to move dramatically more. Business starting when you're young and building that up can have a huge, huge parallel shift in your life that will then lead you to much more prosperity than silver can provide. Now, again, what it is you have in your life and what it is that you desire, it's up to you. But me, I don't look at silver being like, oh, this is going to go up to $1 billion, $100 billion, whatever. I just don't look at it like that. If the world collapsed around, if the entire banking system collapsed and it started sending silver, like the price of silver to the moon, that's probably not going to be a very pleasant environment to be in. Like, I do not wish for that moment to take place. But if, silver gradually moves up to $500, $600, $700 an ounce by the time I'm 80 years old, okay, that would probably work out all right. I can use a few ounces a month to make my house payment or something like that, because, I got to make house payments for the rest of my life. So, if it gets up there for a while and, I actually have some money left over, some of the silver, and I'm able to use it in my older age because it's gone up so much, hey, that's a wonderful thing to think about. But I have very little expectations of it doing that. What I would really like for it to do is just stay down for as long as I live, and I can keep stacking, and then one day give it off to my kids and then tell them to do the same thing and to keep stacking it up, and just make this the anchor of which that allows you to sleep at night, allows you to take chances on other things out there, knowing that at the end of the day, you could always bust out that box of silver and go buy a Tahoe. Because I did it. Did it twice, actually. All right. Paul Walker, silver is a good investment for all the normal reasons. Plus, it is a critical component in solar, which the government is planting millions of acres for. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I already got hyped up on silver a long time ago to believe that it's going to go up to a lot of money. Like, I just don't, I don't care. Like, I care. I mean, I care a little bit, but I don't have any expectations of that. And so therefore I let it go. I don't care if it happens. Like, to me, it's like neither here nor there on that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I internalize the idea of like, man, $500 an ounce silver, I mean, I could get pretty excited about that, but I just don't. Right. And so what I do get excited about is the idea of maybe taking investments and moving into like the solar panel company. Not that I'm going to go into solar panels, but that would be more exciting for me. And if I was thinking silver is going to go up, to then buy silver in that to say, hey, look, I got these two things that are working together, that feels like a little bit more exciting movement than to say, here, I'm going to buy the silver and I'm just going to watch it sit there in the corner, and it doesn't provide me with any kind of return on yield or rent or, business profits or anything like that. It's just sitting there waiting for somebody else to buy it for a higher price. Okay, well, that's kind of cool, I guess, but to me, nah, that's not really that great of a place to be all the time. Like, it's okay to be there, but it's not okay to be completely there. To me, there's so many more opportunities that you can take advantage of. All right, Uneducated Economist, you need to study our recent history. If Bernanke, I need to study our recent history? Okay. How recent? Like in the last 7 years? All right, I'm sorry. If the bank and Paulson don't bail out the banks in 2008, silver would have hit $5. Gold 300. No different this time. What? If they didn't bail it out, like if we didn't use the feature of fiat currency to create money out of thin air to buy U.S. debt, is that kind of the thing you're thinking? Like if we didn't go through that, yeah. I am not one to disagree with the fact that we were about ready to hit a deflationary nightmare, and I totally agree. There would have been a huge plummet, a huge drop in just about every single asset out there if they didn't bail it out. You're absolutely right about that. In fact, in 2018, John Williams, November 20th of 2018, had a speech, Monetary Policy for a Low Neutral Interest Rate World, in which that he said within it that the problem that they were facing was a persistently low inflation. They were worried that any kind of hit to the economy was going to immediately drive them into deflation. They were nervous about that. They were very, very scared. You don't think I know this? I mean, this is like the heart of the credible threat theory, is that they have more fear of deflation than they do inflation. And you're absolutely right. It would send gold and silver and every other asset plummeting. If all of a sudden bills and debts are coming due that there is no money to pay it back, they will sell all their assets at any price to hold on to their debts, to hold on to the house payment. Okay? You think about it, I have $400,000 worth of debt to pay or whatever. I don't have all the assets. Like, there is no way. Right? If I don't have a job, it's gone. If I don't have new money coming in, it's gone. That's without little doubt. The only chance I would have is to try and sell it and hope that it hasn't dropped so much in value that I'm underwater on it. I've been there. I know what it's like. I know what a foreclosure feels like. I know exactly what it does. I've been through it. You don't think that I was like mentally prepared to deal with something like that? It is hard. It took a lot out of me. It took a long time to try and figure out what it was that I was going to do. I never even did really know what I was going to do. All I just knew that it was like, you better do something and you better stop screwing around. Do something and stop screwing around. I mean, if you don't know how to chase excellence and stop chasing pleasure, that's the simplest way, right? Do something and stop screwing around. that's the easiest way to chase excellence and not pleasure. All right. Want an easy job that pays well? Become a wastewater treatment plant operator in a large city. Some HVAC markets are oversaturated with companies, but find a more rural area with hotter than normal recent summers. I do mini splits and make 4K a day, sometimes long days, but high potential. Yeah, I have a heat pump in my house. I really enjoy it. Work until you can find a way to work for yourself. And well, here's the thing. What I find is that I do work for myself in a lot of ways, right? This YouTube channel is a lot of ways I'm working for myself. Or, don't really have anything else other than YouTube to answer to, which isn't really that hard. So, this is kind of like working for myself in a lot of ways, pursuing the, other little avenues of income, like, selling the Cantillon effect. For those of you who don't know, I have an affiliate link down in the description of this video where you can go onto Amazon and buy the Cantillon essay and read it for yourself, but you do not have to buy the essay from Amazon. You can go get it for free at the Mises Institute. I think that is the most awesome way of trying to sell that thing. Because really I'm offering up something that you can absolutely go get for free, but you can support the Uneducated Economist by going and buying that essay for yourself. And then anything that you put in your cart after clicking on the link, I will also get a commission for. So just go and buy anything you want from Amazon, but just click the affiliate link that I leave down in the description before you do. Go check out the essay and then just fill your cart with whatever you want. Anything that you buy for the next 30 days, or if you buy it within the next 30 days after being in the cart, I will get a commission on it, but everything that you put in there after clicking on the link for the first 24 hours, I will get the commission on. So, but I just want to sell that thing off. This is probably one of the best essays. It's not simple, but it's not that long, And chapters 6, 7, and 8 of part 2 are probably some of the most important pieces of literature that you can read when it comes to understanding economics. Understanding the increase and decrease of money to the state will totally change the way you view politics, the way you view the banking system, the way you view like imports and exports and manufacturers and stuff like that. It will absolutely align all the questions and everything that you have ever had about it. Like, it will literally, you'll have the aha moment after reading those 3 chapters about the increase and decrease of money to the state. I know it did for me. Like, after I read those 3, I was like, man, that is so telling of why it is that manufacturers leave and why it's very difficult for them to come back, and why it is that we have this luxurious living, why it is we had an industrious savings, town here that eventually moved into a luxurious lifestyle, right? And it's obvious when you read those chapters. And so I try to encourage people to read this essay. The entire essay is really good. It's old, it's talking about horses and wagons and, vineyards and a lot of European stuff and all that. But really, when you look at the economic forces that he was talking about, they're really underlying, and you can see them today. Anyway, okay, enough of the sales pitch. Let's move on. All right, Matt, do you have anything you are on your watch list to buy if the eventual recession brings good deals? Well, I dollar cost average for the most part, right? And that's kind of something that we discussed earlier today. And when it comes to like dollar cost averaging, I don't really look at what is down or up or sideways or anything else. When I do see particular things fall, like I might buy $100 worth that week or that month or whatever, as opposed to 50. But that's like the most that I actually like move money towards. Other people who are taking large positions, like I just don't do that. I've never done that. The only largest position I've ever taken was real estate into the house. That was by far the largest, giving up that much money at once. But other than that, like I've never really purchased much more than, I don't know, a few $100s worth of anything at any given time. And it's just the way it is. Like I use it more like a savings account than I do anything. So I don't really look to say, hey, I'm going to wait for this particular thing to hit this particular price. Now, if I see things fall, I might look out there in the environment and say, man, I'm going to load up on this, or I'm going to, on that, because I can see it happening at the time. But as far as any particular move in any particular company, I don't really think that way. I don't really look at the businesses or stocks or anything else in that kind of fashion. I I look more at monetary policy and how it is that the markets are perceiving a lot of that monetary policy, the way that they conduct themselves when it comes to like behaving in a way that starts to adjust the mortgage rates. You start seeing the mortgage rates come down, and this is something that I have been saying. Like, if they give up enough forward guidance, it will start making things happen within the economy as if it had already taken place. And man, if the mortgage market isn't proof of that, right? Like they've only cut rates just not even 2 weeks now. I guess 2 weeks. Was it a week or 2 weeks? I don't even know now, right? Last week, so I guess it's 2 week or a week going into 2 weeks. Jesus. But still, like the amount of interest rate drops that have happened, like it peaked out at 8%, a little over 7%, and now here it is at 6% or just over. It's amazing on how well it works. Like understanding the credible threat theory is by far like the most important thing that I could think of that you could do to understand what it is that the Federal Reserve is trying to do when it gives their communication out there to the mainstream. I mean, we read their speeches. We did a members only live stream last night. We broke down two different speeches. One of them talking about monetary policy, the other one talking about the movement of AI into the labor market. Both of them are really good speeches. When we break this stuff down, we have a better understanding of what's going on within the Federal Reserve's mindset than most people who just feel that the Federal Reserve failed. Like most people just think that the Federal Reserve screwed up. They don't know what they're doing. They they might as well not even like listen to the Federal Reserve at all. And so if that's the kind of thing that you have, then you have this external blame. They don't know what they're doing. They screwed it all up. They have, no clue, whatever. And generally, if you have that sort of mindset that's going into it, you're also probably blaming them for the reasons why you're not making it or why it is that it's ever increasing struggle on you or whatever. Because if you were actually making it, then you would be like, yeah, they suck. They don't perform well or whatever. But that's just who they are. That's the way they will operate, and I understand that's how they operate, and I'm just going to go ahead and perform the way that I'm going to perform because I understand the way it is, and I'm not going to let it hold me down because that's an external blame, because I can figure it out for myself, and I can then now position myself in a way that starts having more abundance that I am, like, not necessarily, like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, you can start having the flow coming towards you, right? In a way that we either come to you in a way that is dramatic fashion that you want, or maybe it's just going to come to you in a way that gives you exactly what it is that you needed. But either way, when you blame the external, when you blame the outside, there is no way that you can allow it in. It can't. You're putting up shields and blocks, right? And then it says it can't come. It can't flow towards you. Like you can find it'll seep through the cracks maybe, right? You'll find little bits of it. You will perform just enough to acquire, right? You'll show up just enough at work in order to get the paycheck, wondering why it is that you can't make it out there. And then night tomorrow it's just like I'll show up and just do enough to get the paycheck again. Well, that's it, man, right there. If that's the attitude, I hate my job, I hate my boss, I hate everything about it. You don't understand, man. You don't know how crappy it really is. You don't like. This is the stuff that I hear. I see it in my comment section all the time, and I totally agree. Working for the man sucks, right? Okay, we accept that. Yeah, it sucks. Now, if I take on the energy that I'm going to help the next customer with the best positive energy I possibly can have, then what's going to end up flowing through me is a positive energy that then starts bringing back the positive flow. If you have negative energy that you were emitting, I hate my boss, I'm only going to do enough to get by, I don't want to be here, screw my, the other employees, whatever, right? Then you are not going to be able to have an energy that then emits this feeling of like positivity that then generates the positive flow back towards you. If I was out here in a way that said, hey man, you have no hope, everything is trash, the world's going to get you, the new world order's after you, I would probably make a bunch of money making the negative energy, right? But would I have the positive flow coming back to me in the way that I just can be the natural person I am, where I can have a life in which that I live in one of the most expensive cities in the entire nation, and really it just feels like I'm just living life, I'm not really like struggling, like, you know how awesome this is? This is exactly what it is that I was looking for, and it was because I changed the way that I'm feeling on the inside. I stopped blaming other people. Like I used to blame, like you guys don't understand. I was really good at blaming the New World Order for stuff and politicians. I was good at it, right? And none of that, none, like all that understanding of it, all the research, all the horrible things that I looked at, like stuff that you shouldn't look at. After all that, it didn't benefit me one little bit. In fact, it deteriorated my life. It made it worse. It wasn't benefiting me none. There was no positive like, flow that came from studying that stuff. I built up a lot of walls. I built up like all these like, things that says no, you can't bring it in, and I just kept ratcheting down. And I was just like, man, screw that stuff. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to study the monetary system. I'm going to study the flow of money. I'm going to see how that works. And I'm not going to study anything else. I'm not going to study politics. Those guys, they will warp your mind and cloud it up and discuss things that never take place. People will get angry about what is the possibility of something that never comes. Right? There is nothing there that I find that is useful for understanding what it is that you need to do to better yourself. It is taking away from your energy that could be flowing towards creating businesses, towards pursuing investments, towards doing all kinds of other stuff. But most people end up taking on a fearful aspect of what is coming from the government. They say, man, look at what the other side is doing. It's horrible. And I'm thinking, no, you're not going to drag me into that. I am not internalizing horribleness so that I cannot go out there and do what it is that I need to do to chase excellence. Like, that does not sound appealing. Yeah. All right, moving on. I agree, Simon, but isn't it true that sometimes you have to warn people of bad things coming if you know it's coming? Well, that's all in the meaning you're giving it, though, right? Like, is it bad if you know about it? If you truly know about it, is it bad? Yeah, it's horrible. Okay, it's coming. Let's do something about it, right? I mean, okay, bad weather's coming. I know what bad weather looks like. It's amazing. 10th most expensive place in the entire nation to live, and it rains 9 months out of the year, right? So I understand what it's like to live in the rain, right? It's not bad. There's nothing bad about the rain. Like, it's just another day. I could give it bad meaning. I could say, man, this wet all the time. It's constant rot. There's all this mold. There's mildew. There's, all I can find all the horribleness like about the rain, right? But it's not the rain. It's just the meaning I'm giving it. That's it, man. The rain is awesome. Rain makes this place lush and beautiful and, chases all the riffraff off because they don't want to stand out in the cold weather and be all wet and miserable. I mean, it's a wonderful place to be. I love it. Like, I mean, the only complaint I have about Astoria is that it doesn't rain more to bring more of the benefit effects of what rain does. Like, to me, I love it. It's awesome. It's great. So I don't give it bad weather meaning that says it's bad. It's not bad. Nothing is bad. Anything, everything is all in the meaning that you're giving it. If you want to give the economy a horrible belief and say, man, it's going to get trash and burn and you're going to fail and it's going to be miserable and you don't understand how the New World Order is going to come and knock your door down and they're going to shoot your children and it's going to be what? Like, I don't want to hear about martial law. I don't want to hear about how this has occurred in other places. I don't want to talk about these negative things that are constantly out there that you could go find plenty of proof of that happens every single day because humans do the most disgusting things to other humans. I'm not going to be part of that. I've already done that game. I know what it's like, buried deep down in my head. And like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's there. I'm changing my subconscious about all this stuff. I'm not going to take on the subconscious and believe that there is a new world order about ready to kick my door down. I've studied the Constitution as much as I can and for what it is that I want from it. I don't want to live as a sovereign citizen. I don't mind going and getting a driver's license. I don't mind sanding my name down. Right? I understand what it is to be away from that system. I know what it is that I can use at the times that I feel that I need to when it comes to my rights. I'm not an expert. I'm not trying to be perfect. All I'm trying to do is figure out what it is that I need to do in order to make it through this world. And having a negative energy and understanding negative things and knowing that there's negative possibilities will bring you a negative outcome. I guarantee you that. Because that's the meaning you're giving it. I don't give it that meaning. I understand that it's happening out there, but it's not happening to me. Right? And I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm good and they're bad or whatever. Or I'm in a better place and it sucks for them. That's not it at all. I have to deal with what it is that I have here. And I don't want to sit here and have negative thoughts and negative energy and negative feeling that my family is going to also absorb. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. And they will be in a negative aspect. They will have negative thoughts and feelings and emotions. And everything around you is going to have that sort of feeling and beliefs. And what are you going to do about that now? We're going to work hard to try and become a positive, strong nation? Well, just be positive and strong. You will be the positive, strong nation. You don't have to be in the negative aspect. You can be the one who's growing. You can be the one who's chasing excellence, and you can share that with the people around you so that you all can rise together just by simply pursuing what it is that you know is right. As simple as that. Stop screwing around, right? And go do something. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. All right. Absolutely agreed, Larry. What does Larry say? You guys have a lot of conversations I don't know about. I'll cruise back down here to the bottom. All right. If people were sovereign, they wouldn't pay taxes. Yeah, I agree, right? I mean, if enough people understood it, then it wouldn't work. Like, the whole system wouldn't work. It would just start to fall apart. But that's, what we have is what it is. I don't think about changing it. Why, what are you going to change about it? If you have a change that you want different about what it is that you see out there, live it. Just live that change. Be that change and show other people how it is that you live. You will never, ever get the external to change. That's not what can change. Only you. You can adapt to the external, but the external will never change. And if you anticipate it to do it, you are going to live a long, miserable life because it won't change. It won't change for you. Never. All right? Again, it's all about the meaning that you give it. You got to internalize it for what it is. This sucks. Okay, got it. Let's do something about it. What am I going to do to deal with the fact that this sucks? All right, I'm going to what? Start your business that can now do what? What I see out here. Where's the money? How do I chase the money? How do I find, the ability to provide something that's good and useful and awesome for people out there to want to be part of what it is that I got going on? How do I do that, right? Well, you got to start thinking positive about what it is that you got going, for one, right? Because you're not going to be able to do it if you're thinking negative about it. Man, I can start this, but nobody's going to use it. You think it's going to work? Probably not. All right. Free will is human notion. God did not say, do as thou wit. Her said, don't do this and do that. Okay. Socialism? I don't know. Grow some weed. Yeah. Growing weed doesn't do anything for you here in Oregon. I mean, everybody grows weed. Weed practically pours out on the ground, and like nobody really cares about weed. Grow some mushrooms. Nah, I'm not into that stuff. No risk to no biscuit. Get out there and fail your way to success. Absolutely, Paul. I totally agree. All right. Ship it over state lines. Ooh, no, thank you, Matt. No, that's prison time. All right, Simon, what is the effect on U.S. economy when now China is pumping up the market with stimulus packages? Well, to be honest, I don't think that's really going to impact the United States as much as like a lot of people are probably anticipating. China's in a really tough position. Think about the new money that comes in. Like the United States gets this. What time is it? Okay, I'm going to give it 10 more minutes. I got to go. Think about China and how they get the new money in. This is important. This is, again, like, go and buy this book, right? Or go and read it from the Mises Institute, either way. But go buy whatever you want off of Amazon. Just click on the link first. But go and read that book. Go and read the essay. What you are going to find from that is that it's all about how the new money comes in. Now, the Cantillon describes it with the silver mine, but he also talks about other ways that new money can come in. It's not just through the silver mine. Now, the way the United States gets new money in is through debt issuance, right? So we issue out U.S. treasuries. The whole world loves U.S. treasuries. They buy the U.S. treasuries. We get the new money coming in from that. All right. So a lot of people think it's the Federal Reserve, but it's really the world that demands dollars, and they use U.S. treasuries as if they're dollars. The treasuries are really what the world is demanding for a safe and liquid asset. The liquidity that comes from the Federal Reserve's liability is really what makes like this whole thing operate, is what settles the debts. It's like the lubrication of the system. So between these two, we have this fiat currency system that is now known as the world reserve currency, right? Now we get that new money in from the debt issuance. So when we sell U.S. treasuries, when the United States sells U.S. treasuries, it's the free market that buys it. The Fed then goes and buys it from the free market, but the new money comes in from this debt issuance. China does it through manufacturing. Right? They have a little bit of debt issuance, but nobody really buys Chinese debt. Not like they buy U.S. government. That like the U.S. Treasury is by far the deepest liquid market. Everybody will buy it and sell it. But Chinese debt, kind of whatever. The U.S. dollar denominated debt that China sells has a little bit more liquidity to it, but even still, that's pretty small. Right? So they don't really get to bring in new money through debt issuance, not like the United States does. That's important to understand. They just simply, nobody's going to buy their bonds, right? And even if they were to sell them to themselves, it doesn't really help. You got to get it new money coming in. Like this is this money that's staying within its own cycles, and that doesn't necessarily work out, as it's just an inflationary aspect, but doesn't actually have any draw or demand coming from the world that brings in value. Like you get to use people's hard work. When you sell debt, you get to use their hard work to your benefit. If you're selling it to yourself, it doesn't really work, right? So it's important to sell your debt to foreigners, actually, to get the new money to come in. Or you sell products to foreigners. And that's what essentially that China has been doing, is their manufacturing base. Well, their manufacturing base is now leaving and moving to cheaper areas to manufacture. Very much the Cantillon effect. And so as this begins to take place, what they are going to find is that it's going to get harder and harder for them to live that luxurious lifestyle that they have then elevated themselves to. Now, it may not seem luxurious to anybody else, but they had a lower standard of living. They raised that standard of living, and now they're not competitive to manufacture, very much like the United States did. But the United States did something very different, and that is we accumulated all the gold, told everybody to go F off, and you can buy their debt, right? And that's what the United States did. It says we're not giving up the gold, but you can buy these U.S. treasuries. Doesn't that sound nice? So China doesn't have that option. What are they going to do? They're going to get pretty mad. Okay? They're going to get pretty mad. And they are going to start taking over other nations, one way or the other, because they don't have any other way of bringing in new money unless they conquer, right? Then they conquer this place and they get their new money, and they take their ports and their resources and their mines and all this other stuff. And they already kind of did it in a very strategic fashion with the Belt and Road Initiative, because what they had really done is they lent money out to all these different nations, all these foreign nations out there, and they did it in US dollars. They're like, here, we'll lend you all this US dollars. You go build the port. You go build them the power plants. You go build all this stuff. And then when the dollar starts to strengthen and these nations are falling into recession and they can no longer pay China back, China's like, that's okay. That's our stuff, right? Because that was the collateral for the loan. And if you can either pay it or it's ours. And so they will go around the world repossessing all those projects, all those things that they had financed. And that's the way that they are going to spread their conquering, and not just necessarily go in there with bullets. Like, I don't know. That's the way I see it. I mean, everything that I've learned from the New World Order and studying monetary policies and history and Cantillon effect and all this other stuff, that's how I see it. China's going to get pissed, and that's how they're going to do it. And if anybody tries to stop them, they'll fight them. Right? All right. Haha, for sure. Now I grow its cousin, the jackfruit. Well, all at the gym feeling good. Oh, good. What does the best, what, who does the best colonism? Couldn't tell you. All right. Thoughts on Iraq currency? I don't know. I haven't really studied Iraqi currency in a while. I looked a little bit into that stuff way back, but really, I just study monetary policy from the United States, and a little bit, kind of going into some of the other nations, some of the BRICS nations, just to kind of see what's going on with them. But I am more hyper focused on monetary policy of the United States because I think that's the most impactful to me. I think it's the most impactful to the people who are trying to figure out what it is that they need to do with their daily lives, those 9 to 5 workers, those who are struggling day to day to try and make it. I think understanding monetary policy from the United States is far more important than anything else out there. Like, it is one thing that can truly change the way you live, the way that you are doing business, all the investments you do. It is by far, like, in my opinion, by far the most, focused in study that you could do to benefit your life. I mean, I can't think of anything else. Okay, well, except for maybe studying the Holy Bible. There you go. Does that make you feel better? I mean, that I would agree that understanding history in a fashion that it has been written and talked about for thousands of years is absolutely, like, it is very impactful, very useful, and it's also, I believe, in a lot of ways, very misguided and very blocking. Right? To people who have committed themselves 100% to something of this caliber without any room for change of belief, makes it very difficult to then acquire what it is that I feel is needed to then look at things from a perspective of other people, right? To understand it from their point of view, and to understand it truly, to, like, not hold a personal belief against it. Right? And I find a lot of times, and I'm not saying always, and I'm not saying that's everybody by any means, or that that's what it's doing. Like, I don't want to say that either. That's not what it's doing. I'm just saying that happens. Right? And so, take it for what it is. UE, thoughts on the likelihood of China either splintering and dissolving into multiple smaller states that will fight each other, or will they successfully externalize their pains and maintain cohesive? Wow, that's a big one. I don't really know. I think they're going to really try to conquer the world by doing just like I was saying, using the dollar as a weapon against these other nations, like using its power against them. And what else are they going to do? Like, I mean, I guess they could fall into civil war, like you were saying, and kind of go around that way. But ultimately, what that will do is, after the Civil War, everybody will be in poverty and misery, and then that will give them the ability to actually have a manufacturing base that can return back to China, since they will already be pretty good at it. China's also doing stuff that is pretty unique in the strategic form, is that they are overloading the world with solar panels, right? They are forcing these other companies to go bankrupt. And they know by building this many, they are going to have a bunch of companies go bankrupt too. But when all the dust settles, they're going to have more businesses in operation than other nations will have out there, because they are already making the most, and therefore they can produce the overwhelming amount and have the devastation be more impactful to the other nations out there than them. And that I see happening as well. So they're like pretty smart. Like, China has failed many times, right? I mean, they are like, they understand fiat currencies. They understand, they understand this book. They understand a lot. And so they're not stupid when it comes to this. And they're gonna do something about it. And you can already see how it is that they are, kind of setting themselves to be able to deal with the fact that they have a manufacturing base that begins to leak. They will take the efforts of other nations. They have to. There's no other choice, or else they'll suffer and die. You can only get to. Oh, we're still going in that. Kirk, I don't mean to like cut you off, but yeah. You can only get to the Father is through the Son of Jesus Christ, Santi Bear. Um, all right. Harbor Freight is cheap. Menards is legit. 200 kayaks to a super carrier. Simon, it really is a bad idea to go around telling people where you live with your family is this crazy world, and the real. Well, it's not like people didn't know, man. I mean, it's not like I'm going around telling people where I live. They already knew. Like, anybody who wanted to figure it out would have to do about 30 seconds of internet research to figure out where it is I'm at. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, I understood that I had, like, at one point I was very nervous about that, and I was exposed and all this other stuff. I don't know what to say about it. It's like, I can't stop it now, right? It's out there. It's like, what it is. Other people out there, like, what do people, I mean, I don't have anything, right? I don't have anything. Like, people, like, what is it they're going to do other than come and meet me or something like that, which might be kind of weird if I'm walking down the street or at work or something like that. But I don't find it so weird that it's be like, hey, man, I'm uncomfortable about this. It is kind of odd to see that happen. But, like, what is it, like, I mean, unless somebody crazy wants to come and shoot me, and that could be happening at any given time. Like, it doesn't, like, I don't, like, at this point, it's like, what am I going to do? I don't care. All right, Simon, price of an empty lot in Astoria. There's an empty lot in Astoria? Where's that? I go to church every day, but the church is in my house. Oh wow, since 7 in Louisiana, it's be dark. Oh yeah. Well, it'll be dark here in probably about, I don't know. What time is it? 7:09. It'll be probably dark here in about a half an hour and 45 minutes. Damn, my internet is mad at me. Oh, that sucks. Yui needs a gun for self-defense. What? I need more? You don't think I have guns? I mean, okay, I guess I do have one thing, you know. Like, no, you like everybody in our area has firearms. Like that's not, I mean, you know, it's not it's like literally like I don't think I've ever been to a house in my neighborhood where it wasn't like somebody who would have a firearm in the house. Like everybody I know, like literally everybody, like everybody out here has firearms, and like I live kind of out in the country, so uh, uh guns, yeah, guns. Like I don't like guns don't fascinate me. I don't think about like actually they're a lot of fun to shoot, right? In fact, I would love going down to Vegas. When we go down to Vegas, let's go shoot some machine guns. Because you don't get the opportunity to do that just anywhere, right? So, like, in Vegas, you can go and shoot just about anything you want. So that would be kind of fun to do. But, outside of that, yeah. No, I don't fight, man. Like, hands are lethal weapons. No. Right. There's something wrong with shipments from China to California. I ordered some 18-volt batteries for my hand drill, and Amazon keep pushing back the delivery arrival date. Will now take almost a month. Huh, that's weird. All right, I'm gonna get going, guys. What time is it? All right. Chickens, hogs, fruit orchard, catchment water, and low property taxes. I rode a dirt bike one time. It was like riding a chainsaw. I think if the United States had a modern day Noah's Ark, they would save two of every kind of gun. Yeah. Yui needs an Uzi. No, I don't. I don't need an Uzi. What I need, the only gun, here you go. Here's the only firearm that really anybody really truly ever needs. All right. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people are going to laugh at it because they're going to think it's some high powered rifle or something like that nature or, an AR or something. It's not. What you need is a Ruger 10/22. All right. And the reason why is because it'll do the job. It'll stop somebody coming through the front door. If you pop 10 rounds into them, they're dead. Right. So a 10/22 is a very accurate, very light, very cheap, very easy to disassemble and reassemble. It is one of the best little firearms that I have ever had. Right? And not to mention, you can carry 500 rounds in your front pockets. You could carry 10,000 rounds easily. So a 10/22 is by far, like, if you have no other firearm, I would get a 10/22 before I would get anything else. And then for home defense, if it was strictly for home defense, I would get a short barreled shotgun and carry buckshot, right? And load it up with buckshot. That's my advice when it comes to firearms. After that, you have to understand like whatever kind of hunting style you want to go into or target practicing you want to do. All that is a much different story. But if it was like survival, 10/22 by far number one rifle I would grab before anything else that I would go out there with. I would use it for fighting, for defense, for survival. I would use it for all that. I mean, the thing is like when you get really good at shooting, if you practice a lot, then it's almost like second nature. It's like you don't even really have to think about it. It's just up and bang, right? It just happens. And so even with open sights, if I can see the target, I'm going to hit it. That's all there is to it. If I can see it, that's it. It's over. And so I don't really think about like, having the right rifle or having or whatever. None of that stuff matters to me, right? Because that's not what I'm like out there doing. It's for survival. If I need to fight, I can do it with it. If I need to, do whatever I need. But when it comes to home defense, and you don't want to screw around, right? You can stop somebody at the door, but really with a short barreled shotgun with some buckshot up in there, you're going to stop anybody. And really, if you're hiding in the room and they're coming down the hallway and you chamber that round, if you don't stop them by doing that, they deserve to get shot. Right? And they will have their knees blown off. So it's not, and then the nice thing about it is that it's not going to travel through the damn wall and go kill people outside. For the most part, if it hits the wall, that's it. That's about as far as it's going to get. It'll get through maybe a wall or two, but really the impact of a buckshot going through an entire house is very unlikely to actually cause any kind of lethal, issues on the outside of it. It'll still be lethal on the outside of the house. So that's like, I've thought about it a lot. I mean, home defense is like, you don't want to mess around out here. You don't want to mess around in our, you don't hear about break-ins. You don't hear about people getting robbed in their house. That does not happen. People do not take that kind of chance. I mean, the only time you ever hear about like home invasion, I know it was inside jobs. It was like somebody went in there and stole something from them or whatever. But people don't screw around out here. They know, because they know everybody has guns. See, that's the same reason why I think everybody should carry it. It's the same exact reason. The fact that you don't know who has it and who doesn't, and knowing that most people do. UE, do you have local small farmers market and meat trades? Yeah, actually we do. We have a Sunday market, which is basically a farmer's market at, a good section of it. And that's running through most of the summer, but rain usually prevents most of that. So it just runs for like 3 months out of the year. All right, guys, I'm going to go. It was fun hanging out with you and talking. I thought it was fun covering all this stuff. We need to get back into some economic topics and discuss some of those things on, how it is that we can better our lives. I think those are some of the best topics that, we can really cover here. And knowing like the struggles that we face every single day, how it is that we can, then view the world in a way that says, hey, I can position myself to benefit, to be rewarded, to start businesses, to do the right investments, to get by. And, understanding it for ourselves is really the only way it's done, and this is how we do it. So thank you all for joining in on today's live stream. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know. Later, angry capitalists.